Well, what a good one, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into episode number 57 of Clark After Dark. Boy, we're fired up to be here tonight, folks, to recap a great racing weekend here in the Arklatex. We raced at Boothill on a Sunday afternoon, and it was a ton of fun. The racetrack was phenomenal. Of course, we'll get into the nuts and bolts of what happened there in Greenwood, Louisiana. Of course, the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series crowned their national champion, along with the High Limit Sprint Car Series at the Texas Motor Speedway Dirt Track. We'll talk about the Dirt Track World Championship at Eldora. Of course, we crowned our USRA national champions as well on Sunday at Boothill. Got some local drivers that came out on top of that in that fight, and that's really exciting stuff, and we'll get in depth on that as well. Old Man Weather has showed back up at the tail end of the 2025 season. She's not being very kind once again to 67 Speedway. If you were on this podcast about a month ago, we had Tim Crawley on, and we were just talking so positively and highly that the weather was not going to be a factor, and unfortunately, folks, it's a factor. I feel like we try to speak all the positivity and good juju into the air, and unfortunately, hey, Old Man Weather does what he wants, and so you get what you get, and we try not to throw a fit, and we'll hope to be back Texarkana next weekend for the rescheduled day. Thankfully, they had that in the cards all year long in case it did rain. So with that, I'll welcome on my co-host of this podcast. He's Cortland Smith. He's out of Alexandria, Louisiana. My man with the plan over there on the other side here. Cortland, how you doing tonight, brother?
Man, we're doing wonderful. It's a great day to have a great day, as I tell everybody. You know, that's that's how I start the day off. You know, when the football player's going to practice or kids walk into class. Man, great day to have a great day, people. So here we are. It's a great night to have a great night. It's Clark After Dark, episode 57. Again, I still don't know why you still have me on here every week, friend, but here we are, man. We're here to have a good time.
I love the positivity. It's a great day to be a great day. That's why you're on this podcast every week. And while we're at it, you know, I ask you almost every week, I need a little bit of an update. I know you kind of get the boys, you know, getting them ready, making tackles and doing all that, man. But, you know, I didn't realize that you were actually coaching for your alma mater. Like, I found that to be really cool. So I didn't put the two and two together. Of course, I'm not from that neck of the woods. So, you know, I learn things every day. But, man, how's football season going right now? I assume you're about the midpoint.
Yeah, we got about 3 weeks left here. We got our senior night's coming up this week, so big night, last home game for the boys that are going to be playing. We lost last weekend to one of our district opponents. There, it was a game that, man, is one of them deals. It was a Louisiana 2A high school football game, man. It was double tight, double wing. We were in a double wing package. I mean, it was smash mouth football. It was a very physical game, and we come out one score short, essentially 24-16 there, but tough game. You get that. You'll get that in big time high school football, my friend. You know what I'm saying? It was just one of them nights. It just wasn't our night, man. We had a lot of silly mistakes. The refs weren't necessarily on our sides, but man, it is what it is, man. We got 3 weeks left here. We're looking towards it, not necessarily looking ahead too much, but you know, now at this point, we still got a chance to go be district co-champions and all that, and then set ourselves up for a good playoff run here. Got to go get our PowerPoints that Louisiana does a lot of different things compared to a lot of other states. So whoever's listening from, we have PowerPoints that we rank our teams off of essentially, and so we try to go rank up PowerPoints off of people we beat. So if we can go out here, win these last 3 games, and set ourselves up for a really good chance at playoffs, and just as I say, it's a great day to have a great day. Win the day that's right here ahead of you. Don't look too far ahead. You know, just one day at a time. Keep on chipping away. So that's what we're doing. And look to have a good week this week, man. It's the big. It's a big senior night. This is essentially the team that's coming in. They're the two-time and reigning district champs here. They're one of the top ranked teams in the state for 2A football. So it's gonna be a big night, man. Really excited about it, boys. We got after it pretty good today. We had a really good practice. Coach
Nice.
Smith. I ain't gonna say I'm sleepy, but there was a good bit of running and hustling and getting after it. So it was a good day, man. Great day again, man. Great day to have a great day. And here we are on Clark After Dark.
Man, I love sports. You know, there's always a great lesson to be learned, despite if you win or if you lose, right? There's always a great lesson. I mean, you go back and look at the tape, there's just so many things you can improve on. And of course, coming together as a team is one of the biggest things, you know, just getting all these kids to come together in unison and to realize the goals at hand, you know. But you know, it is about winning, but it's not always just about winning. I mean, it is like everybody wants to win, but there's always a great lesson to be told. And hey, man, it's golly, if I could go back to high school and just relive being a fan on a Friday night when you know, Cody Causey's at quarterback for the Halton Buccaneers. Dak Prescott was quarterback 2 years later. But anyway, great times. And man, I've been talking to a couple friends. Like, I want to go to a high school football game. I told Derick Grigsby recently, Said when Ty gets getting up the Marshall and starts playing quarterback, I said, I'm gonna come out there
Yeah.
and watch, which I need to probably go watch him while he's slinging it around the pill in 7th and 8th grade too. But I do love football, man. You know that. I talk about it quite a bit. So man, happy for you guys' success. And hell, I might have to trip down to Alexandria sometime soon. I ain't scared
There
of it.
you
So
go.
hey man, we start off this podcast, each of the last few weeks, talk about the different numbers and stuff, and just kind of a way to get us kind of talking. And I think it's a good way to not, to still remember racers that are still current, and racers of the past. But today's episode 57, and it got me thinking, who's the fastest 57 that I know or can remember? And I asked you the same thing, so I think you may have one. But I was thinking, obviously, Chad DuPont, we talk about him. Him and Austin are still current racers. They race the number 57. Austin's 57A. They're in the Cadillac chassis B mods. But man, I remember back to 2001 and just Chad DuPont ripping in that number 57 super late model. I always thought that he was sponsored by Applebee's because he had the same colors. It was green, yellow, red, white. But man, Chad DuPont had Boothill Speedway figured out back in the day when it was that long 7/16 paperclip oval. But man, he was just so much fun to watch. And he'd show up to Champion Park and kill him too. I mean, it was a ton of fun to watch. And thought about a couple weeks ago, Chad Clancy in the 57 Trace Smith, man. A lot of people may not remember that name, but Trace Smith Jr. I know Ricky Burke Jr. would appreciate me saying that on this podcast, but they raced the number 57, raced Sportsters and street stocks back in the day at the old Webster Speedway. They also raced at Boot Hill as well. But 57, man, what do you got?
When you say 57, my brain
Irons?
immediately goes to the 157 Mikey Marlar, which I hope we'll get to episode 157 one day. That's a long way down the road. If we get there, we can rehash that. But immediately when you think of 57 for me, and at least my dirt late model brain that I got, that for some reason I'm a nerd on that stuff. I'm silly. But Zach Mitchell, the Coltman Farms Racing team. Zach Mitchell busted onto the scene here, I would say recently. And I say recently just because, dude, this past year, he went out there on the Hell Tour. Yeah. Went out there on the Summer Nationals, won him a couple races, won him a week's championship, was a chance to win the Hunt the Front Super Dirt Series, had a tire sample come back a little fishy. Of course, people around here we all know about the tire samples down here in the Arklatex, ladies and gentlemen, but he had one come back that was a little bit fishy and docked him some points. I think he ended up finishing second in the Hunt the Front points, but I think he won at Cherokee the last weekend, and then I think he won at Talladega this past weekend. So Zach Mitchell, the 57 Coltman Farm Racing entry. That's the number when the number 57 popped into my head and you asked that. That's immediately the guy that I went to.
Yeah, said that Zach Mitchell had to come from the back because he had to start at the back, got some kind of penalty, and he stormed back through the field and he won this race. So Zach Mitchell is a madman, Your Honor. He's a ton of fun to watch. I feel like that's a driver that could potentially, of course, he's got the Coltman Farms backing, like you said. And we see Tanner English has got the Coltman Farms backing. There's actually quite a few drivers. Even Kate Dillard sponsored by Coltman Farms here in 2025. You never know where you're going to see that logo on a race car. But I feel like Zach Mitchell may be the next guy to take that next step, right? Like, I mean, to maybe race. I know that the Hunt the Front Super Dirt Series is considered a national tour, but let's be honest, it's a little more regional. I mean, when people talk about national, they consider the World of Outlaws and the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series. Not taking anything. Love what the Joyner family and Hunt the Front, everything they're doing with the Hunt the Front Super Dirt Series. It's actually a pretty badass series, and I'd love to see it continue to grow. I actually think they got a really, really bright future. They're going to be back a part of Speed Weeks. But that's Zach Mitchell, man. Like you said, he's a really good race car driver. Doesn't surprise me that he's turned your eye this year, and he's turned mine a few times. I think I've texted you about him a couple of times. Like, man, this Zach Mitchell's pretty sporty, dude. Like, he's a really good race car driver. He's a country dude. Like, he's all hayseed, ain't he? Like, he's backwoods. He's country as they come. But that dude can wheel a unit, can't he?
He's just a good old boy, that's all there is to it. Just one of them good old boys. Got an opportunity to go wheel a super late model. It's also one of them guys. It's like when he gets out of the car, it's like, that's who's driving that thing. You know what I mean? Like just a good old country boy behind the wheel. But to all my friends, if anybody does the old dirt draft, if you don't know what that is, a little app where you can sit there and you draft and pick drivers. I'm sure if you've watched any national tour races, you see the dirt draft commercials. But when you speak about Zach Mitchell, the next guy to make a turn, he's always priced relatively cheap on the old dirt draft. And I promise you 80% of the time, if Zach Mitchell's at an event, I pick him in my old dirt draft because he's relatively cheap and the dude's pretty consistent and is really good for just how young he is into his career. He's got a bright future ahead as long as everything stays the path that he's hoping, So, but yes, 100%. The 57 of Zach Mitchell, unit and a wheeler all together. The dude can drive a super late model, my friend.
Yeah, we'll see what he can do in the future. We'll keep an eye on his career and see how it all unfolds for him. But he's really turned the corner here in 2025. Man, we raced on Sunday afternoon to the Boothill Speedway. We dropped the green
Yep.
flag. I think about 3:30 was the advertised start time. We didn't start much later than that. Man, we ran through our heat races and everything really quickly. I mean, we ran a really quick and efficient show, man. And I'll tell you what, dude. I told Josh Bell this up in the booth, but I feel like that's the best racetrack for a day race I've seen since 2013's Doug Murphy Memorial at Arclitect Speedway when Gene Border had that place racy from top to bottom and all parts in between. I mean, slick to top to bottom. Jeremy Payne won the race. Of course, Jeff Larry
Yeah.
but I mean, telling you, dude, the racetrack was so racy for a day race over there. And it just reminded me, which is crazy to think that, dude, that was 12 years ago. Like, where's the time gone,
Yeah.
man? Where has the time gone? 12 years ago that Jeremy Payne won that race. Jeremy Payne's not even racing anymore. Thankfully, Jeff Larry is, of
Yeah.
course. I think I've mentioned Jeff Larry finished second in that race. I think Jeff Larry's got a lot of good fanfare for finishing second in the 2013 Doug Murphy Memorial because I've talked about it a lot throughout his racing career. But anyway, man, Boot Hill was racy on. What do you got? Boot Hill was racy though.
I was gonna say, yeah, no, I wasn't going. Wasn't that also the Doug Murphy that Kyle Plaisant come from like 23rd or something
25th,
and
yeah,
rallied to?
25th,
Yeah,
5th, yeah, or fourth,
25th to
fourth,
5th. So
yeah,
a
or fifth.
funny
Yeah, it was
story.
fourth or
Before,
fifth. Yes.
yeah. So
Yep.
anyway, I know we're gonna get to talking about Boot Hill, but funny story. I love adding these little tidbits. We're headed to church on
Yeah, you do.
Sunday morning, and somebody calls my dad and was like, "Hey," or he calls somebody's like, "Hey, who won the Dougie last night?" And they go, "Oh man, it rained out. They're running a day race." And he goes, "Really?" And they were like, "Yeah, it's starting at 12." And Dad looked at me. He said, "Well, we're going to Sunday school, but we ain't gonna make it to big church, bud." And I went to Sunday school, and as soon as Sunday school was over, we headed to Arklatex. And needless to say, we ended up
Awesome.
sunburnt as all get out, but we had a well of a time. 13-year-old Cortland was sitting there in the grandstands, happy as could be, watching the Doug Murphy Memorial. That, like you said, it was a phenomenal race. Jeremy Payne won, Jeff Larry second. I just remember Kyle Plaisant storming through the field and put on a whale of a show. Anyway, back to Boot Hill. Sorry for my little rabbit hole story there.
Oh man, it makes me smile. I love hearing stuff like that. Derick Grigsby scored his 20th win of the season on Sunday afternoon, and dude, he is just on a roll right now. Since he acquired that RKT car from JoJo Wilhelm and Keith Tidwell and them guys, I've talked to Derek after every race, and he said, dude, like after I've won in this thing now 6 or 7 times, like I'm not so sure that this one isn't better than the one I had before, and I thought that was the best race car I've ever sat in. I mean, and it's pretty interesting. I was talking to Paul the other night. This is just random tidbits that are coming to my mind here. He said Bob Pierce was standing over at the car when the World of Outlaws were in town last week. He said Bob Pierce was looking over that 69 all over. And Paul's standing there. He said, "What you looking at, Bob? You like what you see?" And Bob said, "I'm just trying to figure out how y'all are still running like stock A-frames on these damn modifieds or something like that." He had no idea these limiteds
Yeah.
are running stock A-frames. And he's like, "What is this class?" And it's interesting though, whenever Paul told me that, you see all these different kind of series and sanctions of different cars all throughout the country. You think about how many different kind of cars Bob sees, right? Bob sees them all.
Yeah.
But anyway, Derek goes out and wins the race. He comes back and he's like, "Well, I guess stock A-frame or not, that son of a bitch was rolling." So
Yeah.
thought that was a pretty cool story to tell. And we're going to have some exciting things at the banquet later on in the year. We'll see what happens there. Don't dig in too deep on that. But 69 scores his 20th win of the year, more than any other driver. Broke the tie with Cody Tupper coming into the night. And man, 20th win of the year, and he wins the USRA National Championship, dude. Like Derick Grigsby, I talked to him in Victor Lane. Dude, he's had some really good years in his career. I'm not so sure he's had any better than this one, man. It was a really, really good season, and it's not over yet. It's not over yet.
No, it's not, dude. I mean, we come on here and we say it every week, dude. That 69 is just, he's stuck like Chuck and digging like Ricky. I mean, that's all there is to it. It's crazy what he's done. Obviously, his package he's got right now, and I think that's also a testament just to IRP race cars. I mean, it's just that they're not bad products by no means. No matter which one he gets in, he obviously can wheel the crap out of it and put it up front. So, but he's just got something going right now, whether he's got the mojo, whatever package they're on, whatever they got going on, man. And you ride that wave until that wave comes crashing in. And by all means, we all hope that wave never comes crashing in when you're on the wave. But man, he's just on a roll right now. And when we see it, it's just ebbs and flows in racing. It's just all part of it. But man, what that 69's been able to do, 20 races in a year. And it was pretty cool. It seemed like he was a little more pumped up about the one this past weekend than in weekends past. I don't know if that was just me, maybe misreading the victory lane or something, but you could tell he was pretty fired up about it. And I don't know if it was just getting to the 20 win mark or just being able to dominate or knowing that he locked up the USRA national points for the limited mods, but just a phenomenal year that the 69 campus put together. And, one of the true guys that when you talk about it, that he's there I'm not going to say necessarily week in and week out, but 90% of the time, if there's a racetrack race and the 69 is going to be there competing every weekend. So, man, shout out to them. He's just put a well of a year together, and you can't, I'm sure in his eyes, it couldn't be no better, and you, like I said, you ride that wave all the way out and you just keep on enjoying it. And I guarantee he's about one of 15 people in the racing world that don't want this season to end. He wants to still go racing every single weekend. He doesn't want to see no off season roll around, because when you're on that roll, man, it's just, there's nothing that can beat it.
To your point, I remember a time, I think back in the 2013 season, or it may have been 2014, but I remember a time in Derick's career, and we may have talked about this before, but I remember he broke for 6 or 7 straight races. Like literally, I mean, qualified well, heat raced well, and broke in the, 6 or 7 consecutive races. And it felt like, he wanted to sell out and get out of the sport. You flip it on its head now. You've won 6 straight races. That's to your point. This sport is so humbling. One week you can be hero, next year, so you better ride it while you can, because you never know. Like, we certainly don't think so with the way things are going right now, but you never know. 69 might show up in 2026 and things could go completely different. Who knows? He doesn't know. That's why you still got to show up and ride it. So congratulations to him, man. It's really been a phenomenal year. Man, other thing I want to talk about, and we don't speak and we don't talk about these things in order based off of importance. It's really based on just what comes up next. But I feel like this is pretty important to talk about up next is Travis Weatherford won the Sportster race. It was 500 to win, and it was the Chris Weatherford Memorial. He got out in Victor Lane, man, and man, he had tears welled up in his eyes. He was very emotional. We lost his father. If y'all aren't aware of the story, I told it on the broadcast the other night that Chris Weatherford was a very nice man. If you ask Rollo and you ask Bubba what they thought of Chris, they'd say, man, he's one of our favorite guys that came into the pits each week. He was always positive and just a really good guy, just a good human being. And lost him on the front straightaway, had a heart attack there, at the end of the 2023 season. And so we've had the Chris Weatherford Memorial now for the last couple of years. His son comes down from Belton, Kentucky, moved up there. He's formerly from Texas, of course, but Travis comes down and wins the race, man. Like I said, he was very emotional. And, I thought about it, man. I know you're not racing anymore, but I see that sign behind you, the Darty Smith Memorial. I know how much that race means to you personally. And my God, I couldn't imagine, because I feel like you have the capability, you have the talent that could win it if somebody allowed you to wheel their race. But I was like, man, if Darty won, or if Cortland could win his dad's Memorial race, I kind of put that in perspective. Man, I couldn't imagine the emotion, kind of the way I felt like Travis was feeling the other day, just seeing that raw emotion. You could tell how bad he wanted it. Man, I'm going to tell you right now, Cortland, you saw it on the broadcast if you watched it. But if you were there physically in person, you could tell how bad that young man wanted to win that race for his dad. And I think that's to be commended, man. I had so much respect for the drive that he had. He knocked a couple bumpers. He rubbed a couple fenders to get there. But let me tell you now, he didn't care. He was winning that race for Pops on Sunday afternoon, and that's exactly what he did.
Dude, just I don't know whatever description you want to call it. I'm not going to say he'd be more of a man or he's able to hold his emotions a whole lot better than I would have. Because if I was to be put in that position, and I'm not trying to turn the light on to me by no means, but he won his dad's memorial race, the Chris Weatherford Memorial. But he can hold his emotions a whole lot better than I could. Because I can tell you right now, if there was a chance, I'd probably spin out because I'd start crying at the white flag. You know what I mean? I'd probably blow it myself in good old Cortland fashion, have a good joke for a couple years, but dude, just, man, that's absolutely incredible, man. The fact that he's able to come down here and do that for his family. And it's one of them deals, man. This racing just means more, I feel like this conversation just comes up more and more. And you're telling this story, and I don't care who you are, when you start telling that story to anybody, whether they're a race fan or not, if you don't get chills on your arms or get a little tremor down your back, whatever you want to call it, man, I don't know if you got a heart or you got emotions or care. It's just absolutely incredible, man. Was absolutely pumped up. I was probably the biggest Travis Weatherford fan on my race pass because at the time I wasn't able to watch it on my phone, but I was keeping up on my race pass on a lifetime, and I went back and watched everything Monday night when I was sitting here and doing some stuff, and I went back and watched the whole broadcast, and man, just absolutely incredible, dude, man. Travis Weatherford, congratulations, dude. I don't care if you had to knock somebody out the way or not, because I can tell you right now, if I was running second at the Darty Smith Memorial, somebody was in front of me, just go ahead, just be ready. It's going to happen. But
you might as well
the dude
just spin out on your own, because I'm coming.
Yeah. But Travis Weatherford, dude, congratulations, man. And how about this? Was it like 29 Sportsters? That's what I got wrote down. 29 Sportsters. It wasn't no 8-10 card field. My boy had to go out there and earn every bit of it, man. And absolutely ecstatic again. Like I said, when you tell that story, and if you don't get chills or something, if something doesn't give you a little itch there, man, that's absolutely incredible. And I'm so happy that was able to happen. Travis able to come down and win it, man. There's no, I'm sitting here stumbling and I've done rambled on for too long. There's nothing that can describe it, man. And I can only imagine what his emotions and feelings were going on, and just absolutely incredible.
The coolest part about all of it is he's driving the same car that
I know
his dad was driving, when he left us. I think that's pretty cool. I mean, he's driving the same car his dad last sat into, to win the race. I just think that's pretty cool. Like, I don't care if you're racing nationally, regionally, locally, or whatever it is. Like, that's just a good feel good. It's something that he'll talk about the rest of his life. That's something he'll remember for the rest of his life. And so, yeah, like you said, tip of the cap to him, man. Good stuff, man. There's a lot of cool storylines on Sunday afternoon. How about the Sunoco Racing Fuels USRA factory stock feature race being won by first name Tim, last name Crawley, our podcast guest on this podcast 4 weeks ago. Tim Crawley, now the promoter, like phenomenal promoter at Texarkana. Not only that, but obviously he can still wheel a race car. He won that Vroom Series race at Texarkana earlier this year.
Yeah,
just had
the
a win
vintage cars.
Fraser's car. But I mean, that's a open wheel car. That's what he's typically used to. But keep in mind, Tim Crawley has won in a limited late model, a super late model, a modified, a limited, any kind of mod you can imagine. Spoiler, no spoiler. He's won in stock cars. He's won in Arkansas. Like, dude, he has raced them all. Like at I-30 over there, he won in about every single style of car. He's won in a 305, a 360, a 4. Like, what more does this guy need to prove? He doesn't have anything to prove. What does he need to prove? He doesn't have to prove anything. What he did prove on Sunday afternoon is that Tim Crawley started 7th in a car we haven't seen go to victory lane one time this year. Yes, that 4 car's been quick, and I have Colton Hinton on my watch being one of the most improved drivers on the season as far as any racers I've watched. Like him, Racing Roy, there's quite a few drivers that I could throw in. Tayton Perkins even fits into that mold, I think, being most improved driver on the year. And he also won the USRA National Championship, did Tayton Perkins. And I'm going to tell you why. Because that young man has no quit in him. Really, when a lot of people were taking time off on a weekend, that $22 car was racing somewhere, some way, right? They had no quit in them all year long. $22 got a win at the Rev. I'm not sure if he got another one, but hey, man, that consistency pays off. Last weekend at Boot Hill, that was for USRA National Points when the World of Outlaws were in town. Those are 2 of the best performances I saw out of Tayton Perkins all year long that really solidified this championship. And then he rolls back into Boot Hill on this Sunday after going to race at the Spooky on Friday and Saturday. They get rained out Saturday, comes to Boot Hill on Sunday. And dude, Hound's the leader for the first half of the race. I mean, dude, Tayton Perkins was all over Tim Crawley, and he was all over Dalton Faulkner last weekend when the World of Outlaws were in town. Tayton Perkins has really stepped his game up to another level at the end of this year, and I would say throughout the entirety of the year, but I'd say for sure, man, he got that new best engine power plant underneath the frame rails of that car, and I can tell you, man, he's got a newfound confidence. He's got some confidence. He's had the speed, and I'm telling you what, Tayton Perkins is going to win more than 5 races next year. I'm calling it right here, right now on episode 57. He's going to win more than 5 races next year, and he is undoubtedly still your 2025 USRA national champion. That's pretty cool, man. Congratulations to Tayton Perkins.
1,000% agree with you, man. Tayton Perkins, like you said, dude, every single weekend that $22 car was going to roll into some pit gate somewhere, whether it was Rocket Raceway Park or Revolution Park, no matter what. If they were racing, it was USRA factory stocks and he needed to go race, he was there. So absolutely has. And then even like you said, the last 2 weekends, if that doesn't prove that he's turned a corner just to be, weekend after weekend, consistently, his consistency has greatly grown. But then the last 2 weekends has shown that, like, hey, this wasn't just necessarily a participation trophy. Like I got a little bit of there's a reason why that we're here, and But back to the Tim Crawley deal before we go completely down the tunnel, or not get completely off the Tim Crawley deal. My dude's a wheeler, man, like certified driver, no CDL needed. I'm sure he's got one because he's a certified wheeler. You know what I mean? Like that dude can just flat out drive, and he can work a Bobcat at 67 Speedway and get the track sporty too. I mean, dude, Tim Crawley is just a dude, and I absolutely love to see him get behind the wheel of the factory stock and win. But as we were talking about the USRA national points, that's my Tim Crawley. I might be the president of the Hubert Cash and Tim Crawley fan clubs now. I ain't gonna lie. I've told you 67's a vibe. I've been behind my boy Crawley for a while now. But anyway, Tate Perkins.
Hey,
like said,
I
really
just want to throw this in there. Hey, real quick, I just want to throw. I think that Tim would probably take that win away if he knew, like if he could have a deal with the racing gods. If they said, Tim, you're not going to be able to win tonight, but you will get to do the short track nationals at 67. I think he would throw that win away and let Colton drive that car that night so he could run the short track nationals this week. But it didn't happen. He still won the race. I think he would have loved to have both of them. Unfortunately, that doesn't work out that way. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, we're good, friend. Anyway, Tate, like you said, you talked about the Tate Perkins won the USR National Championship. Shout out to him. Was really consistent last 2 weekends. You know, he could have easily, if he wanted to, he had a chance. He could have went in there and roughed up Tim for the win, you know, a couple times, but he didn't. You know, he raced respectful. And the Perkins family, man, those are some really good people, man. Derick, Amy, all of them. Derick was when he was over there helping out with Thunder Valley, man, he called me and said, we're gonna put a memorial race on for your dad because he just meant that much to all of us, you know. And we go way back to the 171 Speedway days when Dad and Mr. Ben had 171, Derick and all them, man. Every single weekend they showed up supported anyway. And so our connection runs all the way back to 171 Speedway days. And Derick was the first one that he called me and said, hey, whether you want to do it or not, I mean, of course I want your approval, but we're going to put a memorial race on for your dad, just so you know. And I was like, yeah, 100%, let's go do it. So anyway, the Perkins family, we got a really good connection there. Tayton, he can be a silly goose sometimes, and I think he'll cackle if he hears that, if he listens to the pod. He can be a silly goose sometimes, but shout out to my boy there. No quitting that team, like you said. And turning the corner next year, he's probably one that's, like we talked about, Derick Grigsby doesn't want this season to end, and the way Tate Perkins is ending it so far, has ran the last few weekends, he doesn't want the racing season to end no time soon either. So shout out to the $22 Tate Perkins for picking up the USRA national win, and my boy Tim Crawley picking up the dub in the factory stocks.
You said that something about Tate. I was just gonna add this joke in. It's like Tate Perkins is the kind of kid that would have spun Tim Crawley out Sunday afternoon, and when he was passing him, he would have found a way to articulate 6'7" when he was passing him. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, though? That is Tate Perkins. And the irony of it is that Tim Crawley runs 67 Speedway. All right, I'm done. We're my boy Cortland.
That's why I started laughing as much as I did, because of 67 Speedway. God bless it, Lord.
Okay. I don't know if I'm clever or if I'm stupid, but that is Tate Perkins, right? Like, I feel like that would be a Tate Perkins thing to do. But anyway, we're racing. That can't happen. So whatever. A couple of other storylines from Boothill, or winners rather. The Williams twins dominated the B-Mods Sunday afternoon with Connor getting the better of Colby. They finished the 1-2 punch there, man. I always enjoy anytime I get to interview Connor Williams. That's just man, I said it on the mic too, coming up from interviewing him. Like, they were just some good old boys, both of them. They're both just really good dudes, man. They really are. They love the sport. They love racing. And they're just like Tate Perkins, dude. If there's a racetrack open and they're willing to let a B-Mod in the gate, they're coming. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if Boothill ain't, like, they're coming. They're on the way. It don't matter if it's Oklahoma, Texas, the Show Me State, wherever. But them Williams twins, man, they're true definition of some racers, man. They really are. They're true racers, and got a ton of respect for those guys. Congratulations to Connor and Colby for a 1-2 finish. I think that was the third time they've finished 1-2 this season, maybe more than that. Dustin Hennigan. I think Dustin may have drove one of the best races I've seen in his mod career, in his modified career. He came from fourth to the win the heat race. Dude, that was a pretty tough field of mods there on Sunday afternoon at Boothill. Dustin won his heat race from fourth, and we had a all Hennigan front row. It was Chris and Dustin from the front row. And Dustin said that, well, I've been ripping the top in iRacing all last week. He said, so I committed to running the top in real life too. So he flooded the top there in the 16 car, and man, he was hooked up for the entire race and really was never even contested. I mean, the whole race 16 kind of just checked out. Well, we had a caution there late, and on a late race restart, Chase Hatton came alive. I think he ended up getting by the third there on that final lap. And man, Chris Hennigan, like, I felt like he did this. Like, I don't think he had a chance to win the race. And honestly, I didn't expect him to pull that slider. But dude, I'm telling you, he threw a bomb. He threw a bomb from downtown Marshall into downtown Greenwood, Louisiana, and crossed Dustin or slid Dustin. Dustin saw it, checked the throttle, drove underneath, and Dustin wins the race. But I loved it because I felt like Chris didn't have to do that. But I felt like he did it just to let Dustin know, hey, you want it, but I'm still here, buddy. You know what I mean? I love that a lot. I loved everything about it.
That I think that was just Chris going ahead and saving him a couple breaths there, because Dustin was probably going to talk smack all week, and Chris was just going to say, just know I was close enough to take both of us out, big dog. Like, just calm yourself. Yeah. Don't think you're all high and mighty. I'm still here. I'm still old Pops, and old Pops can still get the job done. But dude, the race that Dustin drove, it was a really good race, man. Like you said, committed to the top the entire time. And then they got through racing through lap traffic. And before that late race caution, dude, he made a move through lap traffic that pretty much would have solidified the win, in my opinion. Of course, we had that caution there. Had a couple lap cars. They come together, come up the track, knocked out Sean Gaddis. It took him out, dude. He had a hard lick to the wall there at the top of turn one. But that was right. He was not happy. He was not happy at all. But the way Dustin ran that race, man, he committed to the top, never wavered off of it. Maybe moved down a little bit in 3 and 4 as the middle kind of started cleaning up there a little bit, and the moisture kind of went away or got stretched really far to the outside. But still drove a phenomenal race around the top, made that late race move through lap traffic, just the way he handled himself throughout that whole race. Not that I'm by no means a race coach, but he can't ask for much better than that. He made a move through lap traffic that essentially would have solidified his win. And still, even a late race caution, he put old Dad back in second place and said, Dad, you're going to listen to me talk a little bit of smack this week, because 16 juniors here, bud.
Yeah, it was a good win for Lil Henny. Felt like that was one of the more impressive. He's had a few mod wins that I thought were pretty good. And him and Chris have finished 1 and 2 a few times. Usually the shoe's on the other foot, and Dad's the one standing in victory lane. This time, Dustin was standing in SNS Fishing and Rental victory lane. Really, really good run for him. While we're still, there's a couple more things on Boothill. Tyler Ellis got a hard-fought tuner win, that 14 car.
Yep.
And he earned that tuner win on Sunday afternoon too, man. He got around McEachern there, the 2024 USRA National Champion. And, man, that's a wrap on the results. But, man, one more thing about Tim Crawley. I didn't say a whole lot about him there. Just think it's pretty cool that the Hintons would put him in the car. Of course, Cody works a lot at 67. I mean, I don't think he gets paid over there. He's just a volunteer and just helps out. And they've developed a really good friendship. And Cody comes up to the booth, before the race. He's like, hey, because Colton was the one signed in on my race pass and on the roster and everything. He came up there to let Jill and Tiffany know that Tim was in fact driving the car. And so me and Josh got a little excited. We love it when the promoters come race. Bubba Jones won in the factory stock at Boothill earlier this year. And I got to thinking, like, Tim's never been like a big factory stock guy, right? But I mean, proven he can drive anything 4 times in a steering wheel. And I think Bubba Jones has proven he's more of a stock car guy. Rollo Pilkington can just about drive anything. But I was thinking, like, man, if we had a promoters race right now, like, it'd be a pretty good one if we had them in stock cars. Rollo, Bubba, him. I don't know. I don't think Chris David's driving a race car anytime soon, but and I don't know if Kevin Roger, probably not a good idea to put KR in one either, but there are some pretty good drivers, or promoters that are former drivers and still current drivers too. But I think that'd be a pretty damn good race. Crawley, Pilkington, and Jones. What do you say?
Hey, throw in my boy Kevin Sestair in there. Don't forget about my boy Kevin. Hey, if you're going to say hashtag idiot KR, you got to put the hashtag wheelman of Kevin Sestair in there, my man. I mean, you throw out, there would be a pretty that would be a pretty good little promoters race. I think that's something we need to possibly get worked up one day, and maybe just be at a practice or something. It ain't got to be no full blown big deal, but a good old test and tune early in the year next year. Get a couple of the promoters there and let them throw $100 each on it, winner take all type deal. I think that'd be pretty interesting. I'm sure there's there's enough factory stocks around that everybody can make sure to get one and have her get done. I think it'd be a pretty good little thing, get a little hype going for the race season next year.
Now, I don't want to speak too out of turn here, but there's people that message me all the time and say, Zach, he would win out of an announcer's race with you and so, or me and this and this and this. So just for fun, like Cortland, if I lined up against Josh Bell, Holland Bell, are you racing? Are you allowed? You're just a pit reporter. I don't know if you're allowed. I think that would be cheating.
I'm just a pit reporter. I'm just a pit reporter. Oh, shot to the heart.
My
Golly,
boy.
you're just a pit
No,
reporter. Like, I'm
no,
sorry, I'm not on y'all's
no.
level. So, forgive me. All right, I
I
am
love you.
so sorry. I am so sorry that I was just a pit reporter.
I'm
Forgive me.
dying.
Sorry.
Why did you take
No, I'm
offense to
not
that?
racing. I'm not racing because I'm just a pit
But,
reporter. I'm
yeah,
not.
what I meant
I'm
is
done.
like announcers and pit
I
reporters are
know. I'm
different
joking with
people.
you.
I know. Like, but anyway, I'm trying to find a reason why you can't race because we don't need to get our ass kicked. Okay. I'm trying to find a reason
That's
why you
right.
can't.
That's
But
right.
out of that race, okay, and I was thinking of another one. Brian Baker can't race either. He's a former announcer at Super B. Um, anyway, I was thinking like Chris Steppen, James. Anyway, just any announcer you could think of. Who's winning? Who's winning that race? I think that nobody knows, and that's why we'd have to get in the car and find out. But I'm telling you, your boy is taking his 4 years of iRacing experience, and I'm going straight to the front. I'm just here to tell you right now. I'm not
Hey,
playing around.
you say my boy James Essex, and he might go in there and just throw a haymaker. I mean, I see my boy
Dude, he
James
might.
Essex being my boy look like he can get there and rumble with the
Yeah.
tumble. You know what I
The
mean? If he's got to throw
caution
a
is
couple of
out.
elbows, he ain't scared. You know what I'm saying? But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, look, I don't know if you'll find enough people to trust y'all to get behind the wheel of the cars, but and I mean, I use y'all lightly. I'm not taking no offense, Lord. I ain't found nobody that trusts me to get behind the wheel of their car neither, so I can't say a whole lot to that statement neither. But yeah, we just have to race it and find out. But it would that's something. The look, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? The world may never
Yeah.
know. We just have to wait
I
and
didn't
race and find out one day.
Yeah, I didn't think about my boy Chase Lawler. He might be a tough customer too. I ain't thought about him yet. But anyway, yeah, I think it'd be fun maybe for just, good old time's sake, maybe something to do on a Sunday afternoon sometimes. Who knows? Like we had a mechanics race the other night. I don't need the
We
spotlight. I could
did.
care less about driving. I'm just saying, people talk about it all the time. So this is just a friend, just a fun conversation to have on this podcast. Not that it will ever happen, but it is fun to just think about, just whatever. Anyway, I'll move on. That was a wrap on Boot Hill. Do you have any final notes
Before
or any
yeah,
thoughts on Boot Hill? Yeah.
yeah, to just the pit reporter, okay? I got a couple notes as
Okay.
just the pit reporter. So, okay. Uh no, we talked about Derick Grigsby winning the USRA National Championship for the limited modifieds. I think it was really cool that the top three in national points was the top three in the feature on Sunday afternoon at the Boothill Speedway. Of course, 69
Oh,
wins. He wins the national championship. Second in national points was the EA to Ethan Bells, and third in national points was the K1 of Stephen Guidry. Essentially, I believe the
yeah.
way the points all worked out, like they were all wanting to race and get one more race in to figure it out and actually get a good deuce of it. And lo and behold, they all three race together, and where they finish is where they finish in national points. So shout out to those three guys as well for putting on a phenomenal years. We talked about Tate and Perkins just dedicating every weekend to go and go and go. And same thing can be said about the 69, the E8, and the K1. Man, if there was a USRA limited modified race being had, them dudes were showing up and racing. And it's cool to see that their work pays off. They get to do that, and they'll get to go if they want to go. Though I'm sure they have the USR banquet somewhere up there in the Missouri area, Midwest, wherever you want to call it. But I'm sure they got a banquet, and to go represent the Arklatex, man, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And another note on that too. Glad you mentioned it. That Callan Hill, 11-year-old racer Callan Hill, that was a
Yes.
Boot Hill racing on Sunday. He won the rookie national points this year, which is pretty cool. I mean, the rookie USRA limited national points. So congratulations to him. 11 years old, and I'm telling you right now, that kid's going to be around for a long time. I'm not sure where he's going to go or where he's headed, but I'm not so sure he's going to be in a limited modified for too long. Feel like I think his family knows that the kid's got a lot of talent, and I understand you got to have some pockets and a good cash flow to be going national racing and all that. But I think the right people might get behind this young man, and you might see him racing a little bit more regionally and then maybe nationally at some point. But again, easy on the expectation. I mean, the kid's 11 years old, but right now he's really impressive and been turning my head. I feel like he deserved a nod on this podcast tonight too, man. Congratulations for Callan Hill having a phenomenal year as well. We appreciate that youngster out of Oklahoma coming to race with us at Arklatex earlier this year, and he come and run at Boot Hill as well a couple of times. So really impressive to be 11 years old out there having the kind of car control and the racecraft that he does. It's pretty seldom seen, right? I mean, you don't see that all too often. A kid that young to be racing in that style of car in that class against the heavyweights that he is and racing door to door with them like he's been doing it for 10 years is awfully impressive.
Yeah, like you said, I'm sure if he gets the right position, the right person to find him, at a kid that young, it's like this now to be a race car driver, you got to start younger, younger, and younger. You see it with Dustin and, Talon Willis and guys like that. It's almost like the younger you start them, the more experience they get. There's something about it, man. It's maybe they're young and just, the inexperience, and I say lack of knowledge lightheartedly because it's just, they don't have a million different voices. They're just going out there and just driving, like they're just going out there and just having the time, they're just having a whale of a time. They don't know no different. They haven't sat there and watched hundreds of races and took deep dives off into it or sit there around and talk to a bunch of people. They're just going out there driving. So obviously there's something there that you could correlate, man. If you're young and you got talent, you get behind the wheel. And like you said, you find the right spots in the right places, and there's no telling where the kid can end up. I also want to think I got it wrote down. I think I got it wrote down right. He also finished fourth in national points. I believe you said he was a rookie of the year there, but he finished fourth in national points behind the 69 E8 and K1 there. So obviously a whale of a year that he put together. And like you said, the future is as bright as he wants it to be, man.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be fun to watch him. Excuse me. So let's move on to Dirt Track World Championship and the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series finale at the Rossburg, Ohio, the Big E at Eldora this weekend. Weather tried to become a factor. They moved up the start time on Saturday, so it kind of rushed things. It just didn't really feel like, to me, it sucks that you have an entire year, right, Cortland? It's a bummer that you have a full racing season, and it all comes down to one night. And I get it. Like, these are just the cards that you're dealt, and you have to play them to the best of your ability. But it is a bummer. And again, there's nothing you could do about Mother Nature, but it's a bummer that you have all season prepare for this, and you come down to it, Mother Nature just kind of rains on your parade. You have to move up the program. I mean, like, we didn't get to interview Devin Moran after he won his championship, like immediately after, because they had to rush and run the still block feature. So like the pageantry and the fanfare of crowning a champion down there wasn't like, you just didn't get to really soak it all in, I feel like, the way that you typically would. But aside from all of that, Bobby Pierce wins the Dirt Track World Championship for the second consecutive year. The neon car is not bad luck, so y'all can get away from that now. The 32 neon car went to victory lane, and he dominated the race. I mean, once he got there, he kind of checked out. I mean, 32 was just the class of the field on Saturday night or Saturday afternoon. And Devin Moran wins his first ever Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series National Championship. There's a lot of different ways we could talk about this on this podcast. And I feel like I've seen a lot of people talking about, like, Ricky Thornton Jr. got screwed again. Like, Ricky Thornton Jr., this should be his third consecutive championship. And, like, I am not going to disagree with anybody who's a Ricky Thornton Jr. fan who feels as if he may have, like, there's a little bit of a disservice, or you feel like, man, maybe the best driver all season long didn't win the championship. Like, I can see how you could, see that. But in this current format, folks, man, it is what it is. I'm just curious, like what I could say to all those people to Ricky, or to all the people that feel like Ricky got robbed of another championship, because I've seen it constantly when in fact he really didn't. Hudson beat him fair and square in 2023. Hudson O'Neal beat him fair and square in 2023. And then Devin beat him fair. I would say the 2023 was a lot differently, though, because it came down to literally one race. They didn't reset it, and you didn't get the bonus points. It came down to one race. So I feel like if you had an argument there in 2023, I'd probably weigh on your side of that argument a lot more than here in 2025. Because 2023 was a much different deal. He absolutely killed him in 2023. Reset the points. He has one bad night at Eldora, and his championship is down the drain. I do not like that. I agree with all of you people. But in 2025, we're back at the same racetrack, same event. I mean, Ricky had a shot, dude, and he even had bonus points leading into the playoffs. Devin earned this championship, in my opinion. Like, the format's the format. I just think it's a disservice and kind of a discredit to Devin. But, man, for everybody that's saying, man, Ricky should have won it, I think that's a disservice to him. But, again, I don't think he gives a shit because he's got the check and he's won the championship and he ain't worried about hurting anybody's feelings. But, dude, Devin Moran played his cards right. He played his cards right, and what happened is they went into this race to the chase, and Devin Moran put his best 4 races of his career forward. I'm going to say of his career, but seriously, he did everything he needed to do. Saturday night at Eldora, you thought to yourself, the 99 is running a smart race right now. He never really forced the issue. He didn't put himself in a bad spot. The 99 drove a flawless race to win this championship. And I watched Ricky throughout the entirety of it, and Ricky just didn't have the car. Like, I think Ricky just missed the setup a little bit, and it's unfortunate. But, man, Devin Moran comes back to Eldora where his last name is synonymous. His dad's the $1 Million Man, and he wins his first Lucas Oil title and brings everything back full circle. But to say that Ricky Thornton Jr. got robbed, folks, I can kind of see how you feel that way, but you also need to give some respect to Devin, man, because he really, truly earned this championship.
Devin Moran earned the championship fair and square. I can see and I agree with everybody's arguments on Ricky Thornton Jr. if it would have been just traditional point style, no reset, none of that. But at the end of the day, Devin Moran earned this thing fair and square. If you want traditional style format, you can go hop over there and run the World of Outlaws. And I know I'm not a Ricky Thornton Jr. hater by no means, but it's one of them deals. They knew what they were getting into when they signed up for it. Mind you, he had 80 bonus points going into this deal because of all the races he won. Turn around and we sit there and we reset this. Let's play devil's advocate here. Let's look at it the other way. I could be the fourth place guy, and if I won 6 more races than everybody else, I would have a 60-point advantage going into the chase. And like the dude that's first in points, all he did was run third every single race. You know what I mean? Like that's just a different scenario. There's a million different ways this could have got played out. But at the end of the day, we got reset. Ricky had an 80-point lead. We had 5 races. In those 5 races, Devin Moran averaged a 2.6 finishing average. He finished 2.6 in the last 5 races. That was his average. Ricky Thornton Jr. had a 7.2 average finish. There you go. They had 5 races. I know Ricky had a flat at Pittsburgh, but I'm pretty sure he'll tell you he was up there gassing it up around the lip. And everybody, I'm not saying everybody knew that Pittsburgh was hard on tires, but they know that there's rocks, and that's part of racing. That's part of it. It could have happened to anybody at any time, and Ricky was giving it everything he got because he knew, as consistent as Devin Moran is, that he has to go win those races as well. Like it's not in the back of his mind like, oh, I need to ride around here. No, he knew the 99 was that good that he needed to go up there and rip the lip at Pittsburgh and go win that race because the 99 was that consistent. And at the end of the day, I'm not mad at the people that are defending Ricky saying he got robbed. I'm just mad, like you said, we're discrediting Devin Moran, who for the last 3 years, he had the championship ripped away from him in 2023 for the last 200 foot at Eldora. He was the top running Lucas Oil guy, Big Four guy, the entire DTWC 3 years ago, and gets passed on the last lap by Hudson O'Neal. So, really, he got robbed. You know what I'm saying? We could say he got robbed. You could spin the argument however you want to look at it. I just feel as if anybody's going to argue it, I just want to put some respect on Devin Moran and his name and the fact that he got it done at Eldora, where his family's name is just enriched in that place with his dad being the $1 million man. And could you imagine the pressure that he had rolling into that deal at Eldora Speedway, which I'm sure, Lord knows if we're talking about it, I know he probably has hundreds of people, if not thousands, think it. Like, when is Devin Moran ever going to win a race at Eldora? His dad was so good there, won the world, won the dream, won the million. When is Devin Moran ever going to do something in Eldora? Well, now he's got his big moment at Eldora. My man picked up a $250,000 payday, solidifying that Lucas Oil Championship at Eldora Speedway. So, at the end of the day, the point system is the point system. They all agreed on it. Devin Moran, the last 5 races on the reset, averaged a 2.6 average finishing position. Ricky Thornton Jr. was 7.2, and Ricky was giving it everything he had on Saturday at the Big E and got in the wall. And still come Saturday, he had a chance to go out there and do something about it, and it just wasn't his day. That's all there was to it. So Devin Moran wins the championship. Really excited, man. I think he's one of the guys that has been the more underrated because the last, when you think of big time dirt late model names, if you go all the way back to when Overton got on his hot streak, winning all the dreams in the world, it went Overton, the 49 is going to be good. You got the McCready who won back-to-back Lucas championships. And then you roll into this 20 RT 32 Bobby Pierce era that we're in essentially. And just know that 99 Devin Moran, he doesn't necessarily win as many races as those cats, but he's just as consistent as any of them week in and week out. And he can get the job done any dirt track Friday, Thursday, Saturday, Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday night, man. The 99's good. And congratulations to him. Put some respect on his name, man. The Devin Moran went out there and earned that one.
Yeah, I think the main point out of all of this that I think a lot of people are failing to mention or that they fail to realize is that, like, these points weren't reset to 0. Like, Ricky Thornton Jr. was still rewarded for his efforts for his season-long most wins. He had 13 wins, right, total on the Lucas Oil Series this year. Maybe, and so he gets all them bonus points. And, Devin got additional points for his wins, too. So it's not like everybody was just reset at 0 and then they just went into one race. Like, it'll be interesting to see what Ricky elects to do next year. They kind of they kind of felt like I mean, they all know what they signed up for, right? Like all these guys know what they have signed up for. And I would be interested to see, like, if you want a traditional format, like you said, you can run the World of Outlaws. I mean, and I mean that thing pays out pretty damn good too. But I think a lot of these guys like racing the Lucas Oil Series, so I'm sure we'll see the 20 RT back running Lucas next year. But if he doesn't like it, then he has an option. He can go run the other national tour. But of course, he'll be running the World Finals. He dropped today. He'll be in the Indy Race Part 71 410 sprint car. So that should be exciting to see there. That gets closer to my deal that he's going to leave and go full-time sprint car racing. That's probably not going to happen. Not when he's with Kohler Motorsport. It's not going to happen when he's got a full-time ride. I'm just saying if anything ever dissolves, and you never know. You never really know. So Bobby Pierce gets the win. He advances 13 positions, or he started 13th, advanced to the win there. Chris Madden had a really good run, man. I thought maybe this could be the night because when Bobby finally got there, Chris, like you could tell how bad Chris Madden wanted to win this race.
Yes.
Because, I mean, dude, he was on the wheel. Like he was serving sliders back to the 32 and he kept trying to get the momentum. And I don't see Chris Madden run the top very often, but dude, he was running the top at the top of 1 and 2 at Eldora and he was running back to the bottom in 3 and 4, but he was literally doing everything he could to keep the 32 at bay. And man, sometimes you just ain't got the best race car. And unfortunately, 32 had the baddest hot rod of the bunch. And dude, he's the best race car driver in the world right now. Bobby Pierce won. But dude, I was impressed with Chris Madden. And Brandon Shepard came home third, 5-time DTWC winner. He just kind of slowly but surely puts himself in position at Eldora, like quietly, right? Like nobody, I don't think, expected Shepard to win, but there he is quietly running third at the drop of the checkered flag. Devin Moran, like you said, finished fourth. And Nick Hoffman, after a third place in the World 100, comes home fifth in the DTWC. Mike Marlar at one point of the race, we talked about him earlier, the 157. At one point of the race, James Essex and Dustin, and we all kind of got a little excited watching it like, man,
Yes,
Mikey might come through here and win this mug. Like Mikey back in that Delta equipment 157. He had the old balloon horn ripping, man. But man, Mike Marlar was impressive. And dude, T-Max up 17 positions to finish in 7th. Carson Ferguson with his first top 10 of the DTWC. Delmac didn't quite have that magic that we've been looking for, that he's had at Eldora the last few times. And Brendan Overton is your top 10 there at the Big E on Saturday night. The thing I wanted to ask you about is we saw a lot of conversation about everybody talking about Eldora. Like, does the DTWC belong there? Does the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series finale belong there? I personally have loved it. Like but there's another side of me that feels like a lot of the fans, because there was a little less fanfare at this race this weekend. And I think the reason for that, Cortland, you might be able to back me up on this, is that it's the third time that we've ran a major event there this year. I mean, the World 100 pays $72,000 to win. The Dream's $100,000, and then the DTWC is another $100,000, which is great. We want these drivers racing for big money all year. But I wonder if, like, on the fan side of it, are they getting a little, like, they've already seen it 2 times this year in the Dream for the World. So why do we come back to the DTWC? Well, to see the Lucas Oil champion crowned, right? I mean, so I don't know. They've already moved the DTWC. Carl Short said it's moving to West Virginia Motor Speedway. I think Michael Rigsby and the gang announced that that Eldora will still be a part of the chase. So we're not losing that. So we'll still get the pageantry and the excitement of that. But what are kind of your overall thoughts about this race have been at Eldora for the last couple of years? Kind of what are your thoughts on it and your feelings going forward? Do you want this racetrack to remain a part of the chase, or kind of what are your thoughts on it?
I'm not mad about it remaining part of the chase. 100%. I think it gets watered down when it comes to that point in the year, just because think of all the crown jewel races we have, whether it's the PDC, the USA Nationals. I mean, you can go on and on and on. The North-South 100, the Topless 100. You only go to those places once a year. And that's what makes it so special, right? Is that once a year, all these drivers pile in, and I'll just use Batesville for an example because of, always went there since I was a kid. All these drivers from all across the country pile into little Batesville, Arkansas, on the side of a hill where they built a racetrack, and they race for $40,000-$50,000, right? So it's a once a year thing, and you get big pumped up and excitement. And whether it's just Eldora, and I love them for all their crown jewels and all the big races, whether it's the King Royal, the Joker's Jackpot. I mean, everything they got going on at the Big E is great, phenomenal. It is the dirt track epicenter of the world. Like, if you want to you want your name to be known in dirt track racing, you go win at Eldora. But for late model wise and towards the end of the year, I just think it's just like you said, it's the third time we go there, and it just doesn't have the hype. It's not the 57th World 100 or however many dreams we've ran. It doesn't have that legacy behind it. It kind of felt like it just kind of got thrown over there because Carl Short's like, well, I can't have it at Portsmouth. Where is it going to go? Where is a place that can house this event? Well, Eldora is kind of one of those places that can house it. So it just kind of went there. So I'm not necessarily mad that it ended up there, but for the fan wise and everything, I think it just kind of gets watered down. We expect the Eldora and Dream vibe and, the hype and everything. And it just doesn't get that because it's not the Dream or the World 100. But when you talk about this chase and how it ends up there, I would love to see it move around, like truly move around. Take this thing from Eldora. And then I'm not saying I'm just going to throw some random racetracks. No. Yeah. Ended at, I wouldn't say Volusia, but like we added a big half.
That's a world racing group.
Yeah. But, go throw this thing at Fairbury, go throw this thing somewhere in Georgia, like anywhere. Just throw it at any racetrack. Go run it at Florence Speedway for the end of the year, for the finale, for the Lucas Oil finale. You can, they call Florence the Dirt Late Model epicenter of the world. It's got the National Dirt Late Model Hall of Fame there. Like, go have this thing at Florence. Move it around. So that's all I'm saying, is just move it around a little bit. I don't think anybody would be mad about that. And then as well, Big E, not that nobody hates it, but that's a place that, like, when the guys got it figured out, they got it figured out. Look at Dale McDowell, look at Chris Madden, look at 49. Go move this thing around to a Florence Speedway where you have a Josh Wright. I'm not saying he'd ever be in a place to go win a Lucas Oil championship, but like, it'd be, a little bit different. Imagine if this thing ended up at Fairbury and it'd be a different vibe. And I think it's something that all the drivers, I don't think they would hate it. I think sometimes maybe they'll tell you that going to Eldora 3 times a year isn't that fun because that place is fast. And as we've seen, dude, when you wreck big there. When, like look at Turbo and Max Blair. When you wreck big and you're hurting a lot of equipment. So it's one of them things I think we can move around. My boy Max Blair left turn turbo, and as Nick Hoffman said in an interview, if you go read a Dirt on Dirt article, my boy Kevin Kovac, like one of the greatest interviewers, article writers there is, and goes and gets all the nuggets. And he said, he talked to Hoffman, who was behind them on the restart. And Nick Hoffman said, like, Blair just left turned him. He didn't get a good start, was trying to get down the racetrack. And the last person in the world you're going to left turn in dirt late model racing is Turbo. And he will let you know that. And Turbo let Max Blair know that you're not going to left turn me. Like, that's all there is to it. You hear everybody go on and they complain about, oh, so-and-so did this, and I'm going to go do something about it. Well, Turbo doesn't necessarily go and chit-chat. He'll just go out there and he'll clean your clock if you left turn him down the – he'll clean your clock and left turn you down the front straight if you try to left turn him. And I'm not mad at him one bit, but that luckily it wasn't me driving. You know what I'm saying? Or luckily I wouldn't have to work on neither one of the cars.
What got me, and listen, I met Max Blair when I announced the King of the Sandbox for the Hunt the Front, gang down in Southern Raceway in Florida a couple years, I think in 2022. And I met Max Blair. He was driving for Viper Motorsports that weekend. He was super kind to me. I interviewed him a couple of times on the weekend, and I don't know if he'd remember me, but obviously I remember him. I know who he is. So he's a nice guy. He races hard. He just had them really good runs at Pittsburgh. Max a hard-nosed racer, but we know how Tyler is. We know what Turbo is. We know how he is. He's been that way for forever. But I got to thinking, like, after I heard Max's interview, was first of all, like, okay, they stuck another mic right in the face of a hot hit and a driver who's obviously hot underneath the collar right now. And he says after we see the replay of Turbo getting out of the car, he's taking his 5-point harness off his shoulders, and then Max is taking his off, and nothing's done. I don't think it'd have been smart for them to get out and start boxing right there on the side of the race cars at the top of turns 1 and 2 in Rossburg, Ohio at Eldora Speedway. Not saying that. But when Max gets on the interview, he says that somebody needs to knock Tyler Erb's head off. And it's like, well, buddy, you're sitting there saying it like you were just standing right in front of him. Like, it's just so crazy to me that we'll sit here and say that. It's like, dude, well, you had your opportunity. Why does somebody else need to do it? You're the one that's mad. You know what I mean? I don't know if I have a point to that, but it's like, why do we get on the mic and say all this shit? Just take him back in the pits and y'all go square it up. Like, I don't, fuck all the talking. Just do it. Get after it.
The reason we got all the talking is because those guys have to race for a living. And if they get out there and fight, I'm sure there's a rule in the rule book somewhere where they get suspended. And so sadly they can't. So, I'm not saying that they, I'm gonna put it like this. I'm not saying that they want
I'm dumb. They
Tyler
aren't.
Erb to go and do stuff like that. And I'm sure Turbo looking back was like, no, I didn't mean to cause that much damage. But at the end of the day, if you're not going to let them fight and take care of it like some men, that's what you're going to get. That's the only way they can take care of it. That's the only way that you can show displeasure or try to change somebody's attitude is essentially Max Blair's having to go get a new front clip and Turbo's replacing the entire body. And I'm sure Turbo did it with a smile, and he's headed down to Why Not this weekend. Like he could care, not that he could care less, but I mean, like you're just not going to race him that way. And that's fine by him. He knows it. Like, and also, you know, we sit there and say that. I'm not going to make him sound out like a bad guy. Like Turbo went in there and just absolutely wrecked the world. He got left turned by Max Blair and he showed his displeasure, but Turbo's also one that he knows, like, some people owe him, and he takes his lumps just as good as anybody else. You know, like it's just how he races, and he knows how he races, and he doesn't mind getting raced back that way.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. Yeah, and I wasn't trying to get too carried away there. It's just, I mean,
No.
we kind of saw the same thing with Cade. You know, everybody kind of took Cade Dillard's words. I'm not going to say they even take them out of context because Cade kind of did exactly what he said that he did on the microphone at Batesville, and everybody took that and ran with it. And boy, they're still not over it. You know what I mean? Like they're still not over it. But this is what happened. Like you want to, like this is, and I didn't know we were going to have this conversation. I didn't know that I was going to compare the two, and I'm not really trying to compare the two, but they're in the same series, same deal. Like, what's the only difference in this is that they look bad. That Cade's looked worse than Garrett, or Cade and Garrett's situation looked worse than this situation at Eldora. Tyler Erb got upset with Max Blair and retaliated and turned him on into, collected 3 or 4 cars. Cade Dillard didn't appreciate the way Garrett Albertson had been racing him and decided to take it into his own hands. I mean, sometimes you just take it into your own hands as a racer, and everybody else on the internet's going to get on there and give their opinion about it. And that's all there is to it. Like, that's where we're at. Like, because these guys can say everything they want on the microphone and this and that, but I guess their actions on the racetrack speak, you know, louder than what they say. Whatever point I'm trying to make, I don't know. It's just like I said, I'm not trying to compare the two, but I mean, literally, they were this. I mean, Cortland, were they not? I mean, they're almost the exact same scenario. 2 drivers upset with each other, another driver showing displeasure to one of them, and the whole world knows about it. Like everybody was talking about Max Blair and Tyler Erb at Eldora this weekend. You know what I mean? But for what it's worth.
Not to change the subject, but Devin Moran was in that heat race, and by golly, if he would have got tangled up in that, Lord have mercy. If I was a Devin Moran crew guy or anybody with Devin Moran, I would. You talk about knock somebody's head off. I'm just going to throw that out there. You know, like Devin Moran was in that heat race, and he could have easily been a victim of circumstance there. So it's one of them deals that sometimes you'd rather be lucky than good.
Yeah, facts. But you know why he wasn't? Is because he qualified well and he was out in front of the carnage. That's why you win. That's how you win championships. Like, you know, I tell people all the time, I know this sounds silly and I try not to bring iRacing up too much because I don't do it as much as I used to, but I used to tell people like, man, that iRacing is just turning it in and people just wreck. It's like, well, dude, if you qualify better, you'll get out in front of all the bullshit. You know what I mean? And it's kind of the same thing in real life. If you qualify well, sometimes you get the clean air, you get out in front of all the carnage just taking place behind you. You don't have to worry about all that crap. When you qualify bad, you get in the middle of all of it, and it opens you up for, you know, more carnage and bad things to go awry. So anyway, congratulations to Devin Moran on winning his first Lucas Oil late model dirt series national championship, man. He is deserving as anybody. Final thing I want to talk about here, man. Cade Dillard wins the 20,000 win fall nationals at the Boothill Speedway Park in New Mexico on Sunday afternoon for the 5th time in his career. Like, pretty impressive. I mean, when Cade gets in that damn modified, dude, he is tough. Tanner Mullins finished second, and I would say right now, Tanner Mullins probably in power rankings as far as open wheel modifieds go across the country. I think a lot of people would put the O2 of Tanner Mullins number 1 spot. I really do. And Cade beat him. You know, when Cade comes back and makes a few mod spot starts, it's like he never left. You know, and also he toted Talon Willis up there with him this week, and you know, we talk about Talon on this podcast quite a bit. He just won his first career modified feature. He won the Louisiana State Dirt Track Championship at Boothill. And I think Cade knows, man, Talon's ready for the next step. So he brings him the Votto, loads him up in the stacker. And, man, if Talon doesn't go over there and is super impressive, it's some of the best modified drivers in the country. Talon finished 3rd on Friday. Cade finished 4th behind him. And I mean, dude, if you just look at the results, folks, go look up Boothill Speedway Park on my race pass and just look at the field that Talon was racing with. Again, congratulations to Cade Dillard. We've seen him do this at Votto a couple of times over, but I was really, really super impressed with Talon, man. He just continues to impress. And, the sky's the limit for him, man. It really, really is.
when the 97 is at Votto Speedway Park and my boy Donnie Peterson's turning the wrenches and my boy Colby Richmond's on the tires, write the check, bud. Just write the check. If the 97's in a mod and Donnie P and Colby are there, just write the check. And by golly, if my boy Scotty Dubois rolls in with him, write 2 checks because Scotty's going to want one to hang up in the wall as well. Dude, that 97 just gets around Votto. He picked up his first ever Word of Outlaw late model feature win at Votto. You know, just there's something about Cade at Votto. He's one of Wild West shootout features out there in the super late model, and 100 of them plenty of them in the modifieds. The dude just got Votto Speedway Park figured out. And I will say, man, I've been blessed to go out there twice, and that place is just absolutely awesome. It's one of those tracks. I am sad. Like it hurts my heart that the Wild West shootout's moving, because I really wanted to like that truly you could make a racing vacation out of it, because man, the facilities were nice. It had suites. Dude, they had like 20 TVs outside, like where the concession stand and just a little hangout area. They had tables and all that. They would have like 20 TVs out there. They would have the UFC fights, NFL football games on, college football games on. Anyway, if you want to look it up, they got videos out there on the interweb. Votto Speedway Park, absolutely phenomenal facility. But the 97, I think it's like 3 or 4 in a row at Votto that he wins the Fall Nationals there. Again, just write the check when he rolls in the gate with Donnie P and Colby on deck with him. And Talon Willis, man, this was your top 10 rundown, and this is just to put the names out there that he ran against, and he was all the way up to 3rd or 4th at one time. Had a late race caution, cost him a few spots, got into the wall in the top of 1 and 2. But, 97 wins. Tanner Mullins, like we talked about, probably one of the guys, if you're going to power rank modified drivers, Tanner Mullins at the end of the year has been flat out dominant. But 97, Tanner Mullins. TP was 3rd. Stormy Scott, who was in a 97 backup car, in a CDR backup car, passed the 7 cars to finish 4th. Reese Solander 5th. Jake Gallardo 6th, who's a phenomenal standout down there in that area. Talon Willis 7th. Carlos Amata Jr. 8th. Xavier Ortega 9th. And Rodney Sanders finished 10th. When you finish 7th with a field of cars like that, and that's your top 10, and there's 43 modified showing up for 20,000 to win. And, Talon hasn't necessarily raced that mod a whole lot or traveled out to New Mexico and raced when a lot of them dudes have. Shout out to him, man. That was just another eye-opening experience. If somebody needed another one to see that this kid can wheel, there's more proof in the pudding there, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Really proud of him and how he continually pushes the progression. He, like you said, another eye-opening experience, and really excited for him and his future. Pretty cool. When he won that LSDTC at Boot Hill a few weeks ago, Jason Nisus came all the way down from Kentucky, where he's from, and came down to Boot Hill first time. Bubba Jones running back to his hotel room, after the races on that Saturday night. But thought it was pretty cool. He came down to support Talon and see him race in person. That man found Talon Willis off of YouTube. Like found Talon Willis off of Talon Willis Racing YouTube videos, and came on board and started sponsoring the crate late model, and then of course the super, and now he's got the CDR modified. It's everything's clicking right now for the 10 Mile Louisiana driver, and I know Adam's super proud of him too, man. It's just good things going on down there in the Willis camp, and they're good people. And by the way, if you're ever down in that neck of the woods, they don't sponsor this podcast, but I'm going to tell you, you need to go eat at Claire's Eatery. That's Talon's mom's restaurant down there,
Yep.
I think in Elizabeth. But man, they even got a TWR burger, a Talon Willis burger. And he said that's the best thing on the menu. He said in a Victor Lane a few weeks ago. So if you're ever down there in that neck of the woods, go support great folks that love racing just like us, and go support and eat Claire's and get you a TWR burger. Sounds pretty good to me. Man, you mentioned something a little bit earlier, and I almost jumped in and said it, but we saw yesterday that Josh Rice is finally going to get an opportunity to race nationally. Took over the seat that Big Perm Dalton Wilson has been in over the last 4 years for JRR Motorsports. Team's based out of Kentucky. Of course, that's where Josh Rice is from. Wells Motorsport, I forget what I was about to say. Mine went blank. Sorry, it happens to the best of us. That's why we're about to get out of this podcast. But Josh Rice got an opportunity, man. And if there's anybody in the country that you and I have talked about, outside of maybe Zach Mitchell that we talked about earlier on this pod, and a couple other guys, it's unequivocally, man, if we could see Josh Rice just get an opportunity to race nationally, dude, he would sell T-shirts and he would make a lot of fans because of his driving style and his approach to racing. He's just a really, really good dude. And he's a hell of a race car driver. Like you said earlier this year, where does he work for? A DHL shipping or something?
Yeah.
I
believe he works for DHL.
Boy, man. Just a good old dude, man. And he is deserving of this opportunity. I'm glad that he's able to free up some time and get out and go race nationally. I'm not sure what their entire plan is yet, but it was announced yesterday, unfortunately, for Big Perm, the departure there. Hopefully he can figure out and find his feet somewhere else because, man, we love having Big Perm, too, on the national scene. He's a good race car driver as well, and he's still learning and pushing the progression. But Josh Rice, man, I'm excited to see him on the national tour this year.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see where he lands up or, runs a national tour. If, he's got a
Yeah.
full-time job. I don't know, I know they said they're waiting to release the schedule. It's everybody's, it's really easy to think that he would jump on a national tour and go do that. But it also might be an opportunity like this year would be a year that he just gets to go out and race. Now, I mean, I know it sounds bad in this terminology, but he's going to go race on JRR's dime. Like he's not going to be using the people that supported him the last so many years. Like he's going to race on somebody else's money. And maybe that's going to allow him to go race a little more. I believe they're going to be in Longhorn chassis. He's been a kind of a rocket guy. He tried a Longhorn a couple weeks. I don't know if it's into last year, beginning of this year. In the past, he tried a Longhorn there a little while, but went back to rocket. I think they're going to be in Longhorns next year. But it'd just be something to see whether he ends up on a national tour or just able to go race more. And I think that's all we want to see is the dude to have an opportunity to go race more. We know that his schedule is kind of fit to what he does. He does have a full-time job and, sometimes it's hard to get away, but also when you're the main guy working on the car, it's harder to get ready to go racing. Whereas JRR, I'm sure they'll have plenty of crew help, and there's every dirt late model team doesn't mind a little helping hand here and there, but I'm sure they'll have a guy or two there to make sure that his machine will be ready to rip at any moment's notice if he doesn't go full-time on a national tour and just go race more, man. But a guy that absolutely deserves it. We mentioned Josh Rice and Florence. The dude can flat out, like you said, sell t-shirts out the wazoo, and when he gets behind the wheel, he's going to give you 110%. There's no doubt about it. You might be replacing right rear deck pieces for about 20 straight nights, but he's going to give you everything he's got, and there's going to be no doubt on the table of what the car could have, should have, would have done, because he's going to find the limits of everything. And so really excited to see what that happens, man. It'll be cool if he does end up on a national tour, by all means. I'm sure that is probably his goal, but if he doesn't, just to be able to go race more, I'm sure that's all he wants, is a chance to go race more. The video that they did put out was very promising and kind of leaded towards the fact that he might go national tour racing, as like all the hard work and dreams come true type motto that they had going. Right. So wouldn't be surprised if he ends up on a national tour, but at the end of the day, if you're racing on not necessarily racing on somebody else's dime, that sounds kind of bad, but the expenses and everything, it ain't gonna be out of his backers that he's had. He's gonna get to go race for JR, a very solidified team that's run a national tour, and I'm sure he'll have all the resources needed to go out there and do what he needs to do. So really pumped up to see how that turns out next year for him. Excited to see if he's on a national tour, and if not, just racing more races, even better.
One more thing that I want to mention, and I'm glad that I remembered this before we got out of here because I'd have been really upset with myself if I didn't. Houghton, Louisiana car owner Dustin Gates drags his sprint car, however many states over it is, to go run the Trophy Cup at Tulare Thunderbowl in Tulare, California. He texts me last Wednesday, or was it last? Did I say it on the podcast last week? I can't remember. He texted me, he sent me a picture. He said, "We're on West Coast time, cuz." And I said, all right. I was like, "Where are you at?" He said, "California." And I said, "Oh." He said, "We're going to run a Trophy Cup." I said, "Well, good luck, cuz." Hey, Cody Gardner goes to Victor Lane on Friday night at the Trophy Cup, and they were sitting top 3 in the points. Dude, them points pay out $30,000 to the winner. Joe Myers Jr. won the total $30,000. Tanner Holmes won the $10,000 to win race on Saturday night at Tulare for the Trophy Cup. Dude, Cody Gardner out of Benton, Arkansas, who we've seen race at 67 a few times this year, and he's from Benton, Arkansas, same hometown as Tim Crawley. But, dude, we've been watching Cody Gardner race around this general Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma area, in the Mid-South the last several years. But, man, goes all the way to California and wins the Trophy Cup feature on Friday night, dude. And Dustin Gates, Houghton, Louisiana, owned number 6 car. Like, how cool is that, dude? And Boogie Reynolds was there helping turn wrenches. He's from Houghton, too. I love that, dude. It's like literally a small team went and ran with the big boys and won the Trophy Cup Friday night, dude. One of the best stories of the year. I love everything about it.
Round of applause for the homies right there. Round of applause for the homies right there, dude. That's absolutely phenomenal. And ain't no slouches out there at that Trophy Cup neither. I mean, it's the who's who on that West Coast, big dog. And for them to roll in like they did, man, dude, awesome. Like it's just
Great race,
crazy
too.
to think. Yeah, great race, and I guarantee when they left, I mean, by all means, they can show up there and go be competitive by all means, but that right there, that gives you a reason to go back the next 3 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just absolutely incredible, man. Shout out to them again. Round of applause for the homies, dude. I mean, go out, represent. That you can't get much better than that. By all means, I'm sure you would have loved to win the Saturday night feature, but still, man, going out there and showing up, showing out, getting the job done, that's all you can ask for.
We might talk about this next week on the pod because we're about to wrap this one up. But I really, really, really love that format of the Trophy Cup. And I would love to maybe try to implement something similar around here where it takes your best 3 nights and the winner, the best average over the 3, do $30,000 for the best average on the weekend. Like, that's pretty cool, man. Like, I was thinking
Yeah.
about it, like the 30,000 factory stock spring nationals we had. What if if we race for 3 days? Okay, let's just say each feature paid $2,000 to win Friday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Let's just say it's 3 days. Again, this is all hypothetical, just thinking out loud. They paid 2,500 to $3,000 a piece to win. Okay. But then the points might pay 20 grand to win. Second might pay 10, third might pay 5. I don't know. Just thinking outside the box. I mean, obviously wouldn't be anything nobody's ever thought of because obviously the idea was taken from Trophy Cup, but I think it'd be pretty cool to maybe implement that, in one of our big classes that has over 100 cars on a weekend and kind of see how it would all shake out. I think that would be really, really cool to see. And maybe we could just do like a mock points if we ever have a multi-day race and we have 3, maybe we could kind of,
Yeah.
add the points up and just see how it would play out before we actually implemented and did it. But man, I love different things like that. Dude, I'm telling you what, they packed the stands, the fans showed up, they love the format. Joel Myers Jr. clearly loves it. Didn't win a race on the weekend, and he walks out of that joint with $30,000 for his efforts. Like, hey, it pays to be consistent, and I love everything about that, dude. I love everything about it. So, not saying that's something we'd ever do, but it's something I would love to maybe get the promoters to get together and consider maybe something like that in the future. I know it would take help, and we'd need sponsors to make it happen, but and I love that format, man. I really, really do.
Like you said, consistency pays off. That would be I think it would be tighter than the top string on a Texas fiddle, my friend. It would be quite interesting if we was to do something like that. Like you said, using the spring nationals for an example. It's kind of outside the box thinking for what our normalcy is. But like you said, obviously it's being done and people don't mind it because a dude that didn't win a race all weekend walked out with 30 grand. Like, that's pretty cool. When you really think about it, like the dude that really won the weekend didn't win a race, but he won the weekend. Like, he was the best guy all weekend long, but he didn't win a race and he still left with a bigger check than probably everybody else did. So, like, pretty
Which
cool
adds an
deal
emphasis.
right there.
It adds an emphasis on finishing races, not getting DQs. Like, you got to finish, like, I think it adds and I think that it would cause everybody to race. I think that people would still race hard, but I think they'd race a little apprehensive as well. Like, I think we'd see less cautions. I think there'd be a lot of good to come out of it. I think guys would race hard, but I think that they would also be a little careful too. But at the end of the day, there's still 30 grand on the line laying here, I think it'd be interesting, man. I really, really do.
I'm just saying, I'm not saying I don't race cautious, but after watching the 24K and 27 throw sliders for days at Boothill Speedway and then 67, them guys, dude, we're here to win, bud.
Yeah, I lied, dude. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
It might go in effect for everybody else, but if you put Dalton Faulkner and Keaton Atkinson in the same race, they're not going to care. They're just going to want to beat each other. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, what did Keaton tell us on the pod earlier this year? That he wants to win every single race he's in. He would have done that for a heat race. I was like, oh, I ripped my headphones out here. Can't hear you. But yeah, I was like, wow, he just said that. But hey, got nothing but respect for it. Man, is there anything else I can't get this hook back in here. There we go. Anything else that you'd like to mention or anything else before we get out of here?
Yeah, I got a couple things just to round it up. So we're talking about sprint cars. Give the sprint cars some love. Rico just dominated TMS and locks up the high limit championship. They had their banquet. That banquet, I mean, we can dive into this later. We got a whole off season that we'll have plenty of stuff to talk about. But Rico wins the points championship. Brad Sweet was second. Brent Marks third. Justin Peck fourth. And Tanner Thorson fifth. That was your top 5 points for the high limit. Rico dominated TMS. That's all you need to know about it. Wins the championship. Long story short, Brad Sweet announced his retirement this week. Kind of break, like you could see that
it got me emotional
in the future. yeah, you could see that coming in the future, but happening right now, it kind of caught me by surprise. Obviously, with everything he's got going on with high limit and all, like I could see that, he was building his
Yeah.
way out the door. I just didn't think he was
Yes.
going to walk out the door quite yet. And I'm sure he'll still
Same.
race a few races here and there. I'm sure Casey Kane's not going to tell the man no if he wants to go run a race here or there. But that's from your high limit TMS. World of Outlaws race this weekend at Lincoln Park in Indiana. David Gravel won that. Then they raced at Angel Park in Wisconsin. Sheldon Hautenschild won that feature. That's kind of your sprint car, your wings and things round up for the weekend, and you can dabble a little bit more in that. What you got?
That gravel and Kofoid race at Lincoln Park was wild. The finish was wild. Yeah. They got into each other, and Kofoid went to spinning, and they were dead even coming to the line underneath the flag stand. And the track, that was an interesting racetrack. It's like they were all racing in the rubber around the top almost, right? They were all fighting for a lane, and they just gravel, however you see it, but gravel won the race. But some people say he rooted the 83 up out of the groove. Some people say that Buddy put himself in a bad spot. However you choose to see it, that's your prerogative. But the 2-car won, and he drank some chocolate milk afterwards for his efforts.
Look, whatever you got to tell yourself to sleep better at night, friend, tell yourself that. That's all I got to say.
Okay.
Whatever you need to tell yourself to sleep better at night. Hey, we're all going to see it
That's
a different way, because the way I see it through my glasses is a whole lot different than the way you see it through your glasses, friend.
Okay.
Sometimes
Tell
we
me,
agree,
hold on.
and sometimes I'm just saying this is for everybody in general. Sometimes we agree and sometimes we don't. I wasn't disagreeing with you. I was just saying that to the 3 listeners that do listen into all the way to the past the hour mark here. As we said jokingly, we're gonna make this one kind of short tonight anyway. But looking ahead for this weekend on the RaceON platform, of course, 67 Speedway postponed, short track nationals postponed, not this weekend.
Makes me sad.
But we got the fall classic at Waco. You got the Tom's Nationals at RPM, the DTK Memorial at I-37, and the Dwarf Car Nationals at Rocket.
That guy.
Go find a friend. Go tell a friend. The Revolution Park is also racing this weekend. I didn't forget about that. 105 Speedway pushed their Texas Grand off. But between the Rev, Fall Classic at Waco, Tom Nationals, DTK Memorial at I-37, and Rocket Raceway Park with the Dwarf Car Nationals, you can find something to watch on RaceON, or please, it's the end of the year. Go put your rear end in some grandstands, ladies and gentlemen, because these are the last couple races of the year, and we'll be sitting here in middle of December or January, or I say December because you're sitting at Christmas with your family. And if anybody's like me, it's that meme that goes around where you're the black sheep, where you're sitting there at the Christmas dinner and nobody wants to talk racing with you, and I'm over here talking about the Dome or excited about Wild West Shootout, and nobody wants to talk about that. They want to talk about hunting, fishing, or whatever else normal people would do in life that I don't find no interest in. So go take yourself to a racetrack and enjoy the weekend, man. We got very few race weekends left in the year, and then we'll get started off with speed weeks and everything else coming up. But we don't necessarily all get to go see that in person, and your local racetrack is racing, or some racetrack near you is racing, I'm sure. Go find your way there, friend. That's all you got from me for tonight, Zach Clark. If you need anything else, I'm here.
Yeah,
you're way better at wrapping up than me.
Mother Nature can really throw a monkey wrench into everybody's plans and schedules, and it does to mine too. Like, people wonder how that affects me. They'll say, "Where are you going to be this week?" Well, it's like, I was going to be at Short Track Nationals at 67. Obviously that gets postponed. So now I'm kind of looking for work. I'd like to be working somewhere this weekend. I don't know what to do with myself when I'm not at a racetrack, to be quite honest with you. And then I was supposed to be at Grayson County next weekend for their big American Crate Late Model Series Nationals or whatever. And now that 67 and that event are running, I'll be at 67. So won't be able to make Grayson now, but the week after I'll be at Texas Motor Speedway Dirt Track. The ARM Series will be there. That's going to be a great event, by the way. We're looking forward to that. That's going to be exciting. So there are some great events and things to look forward to throughout the year. And don't forget, Boothill still has another race in November as well, the Ray Ingalls Memorial. So look forward to that. What you got?
I was going to say, I believe at this point last year you had me on, and I talked about it. Fall Classic at Why Not Motorsports Park. I know everybody feels like they got plenty of subscriptions and all this. It's on Hunt the Front TV. If you're around that area and you're listening, or you're within driving distance, Dude, the Fall Classic at Why Not last year had 50 cars, and it was the who's who between Garrett Albertson, Ryan Gustin, Mike Marlar, Brandon Overton. Zach Mitchell was fast time one night. I mean, dude, that Fall Classic at Why Not, there's no telling who's going to show up. Tyler Erb, Ashton Winger, I think he was saying Dennis Erb Jr. right there and just didn't want to cut me off. Man, there's literally no telling who's going to show up to that deal. And Why Not? I've said it before, dude. That's like my favorite racetrack. It's a vibe. It is a, I mean, yeah, House of Hook. I've been riding around in a bus at 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning with Turbo driving it. You know what I mean? Like, there's no telling what's going to happen once you pull onto the Why Not Motorsports Park grounds. It is a well of a time. I know they got the Street Stock Nationals over there. There's a couple guys, Parker Cloud, Mickey Steele, guys are from around here that go and run that. But if you need something to watch this weekend, super late model wise, the Coors Light Fall Classic at Why Not Motorsports Park in Meridian, dude, that racetrack is absolutely phenomenal. They're going to have, I'm not going to say that it's everybody showing up, but you will have plenty of star-studded power that rolls into that pit gate, and that track always delivers, man. I've been there many a times, and I ain't never seen a bad feature at Why Not when it comes to super late models, and they get it on at the House of Hook, man. That they will go from wide open in qualifying to 50% throttle input come feature time, dude. It is an absolute gem of a racetrack. I was just going to add that little point in there that the Coors Light Falls Classic is this weekend at Why Not. If somebody's looking for some super late model love or action, go check that out.
Sounds like when my man Wes Grigsby will have a good seat up there from up top looking down. If it says Coors Light, Wes Grigsby's there. Okay.
I guarantee it. I guarantee
that's it, man. Hey, good stuff there. The Fall Classic is an awesome place. And Rodney Wing's a great promoter too, man. That's reason enough to go support it, man. I grew up watching Rodney Wing race the SUPR late model series, and great race car driver. Seen him race mods a lot too. But yeah, I'll go support that place if you can, if you're over that way. That's it for episode number 57 of Clark After Dark. He's Cortland Smith. I'm Zach Clark. Thank you all for tuning in. If you've hung out with us all the way to this point, we'll see you back here next Wednesday afternoon.
Holla.